Oh, Debbie, it's so great to be here with you. I'm so excited, and I forgot you asked me. I know you've read the book, but you asked me for some questions. But we should talk about the lead role, the character of Sarah, and how she dreams a lot in the book. I totally didn't think about that, but something we could talk about because it's very interesting.
Absolutely. But yeah, before we get to that, I just want to get to the basics. Why the title Killing Buddha?
That's a good one. So there's a very famous Zen koan. If you see the Buddha wait, let me try it again. If you see the Buddha along the road, kill him or you'll follow him the rest of your life. And the teaching goes on to say, if you see the mother, kill the mother. And the sort of idea around that is that when we give something else our power, whether it be another person or a teacher or a concept or a book, we're giving our power away and we're not really doing ourselves service and we're not following our own path. And the character in Killing Buddha, that's a big lesson that she learns. And it's a big lesson that I learned throughout my whole life of always feeling like I was never good enough, smart enough, tall enough, pretty enough, whatever enough, enter whatever enough in front of the enough for you. And we tend to make those our Buddhas. Those are like the thing that we almost worship. And once we can kill them, we find that which we're really seeking is already within us.
So have you killed your own Buddha?
I've killed a lot of Buddhas, but I don't think like the cone and the teaching goes on. There's we have thousands of Buddhas to kill. So I think that's part of the journey of life. Everyone says, why are we here? What's the meaning of life? And I think it's really to uncover all the things that we believe about the world and about ourselves, to uncover them and to really dissect them and understand, is this belief serving me? Is this teacher serving me? Is this guru, is this whatever serving my internal, my goodness, my values, my ethics? And to really boil down to what are those, and how do I live that in this world?
So you think that we really need to keep continually asking questions, asking ourselves questions.
I think daily, I think, and it's funny, this because you and I are really good friends. So we joke about how often we think we're done with something, right? And then like it'll pop back up, and it'll pop back up in a different way, or a more nuanced way or a deeper way, because I don't think we're done. I don't think there's an end game here. Like, I don't, part of what I talk about in the book is like, I think in the West, we've made enlightenment an end result. And people are seeking enlightenment, and then they will proclaim, I am enlightened. And the moment you proclaim you're enlightened about anything, it's surefire way to come and bite you in the ass right back again to remind you, nope, you're not.
Mhm. This is very, very true. Well, getting back to the plot of the book, your heroine is named Sarah, and she is in the film business and goes through a life crisis. How much of this is based on your own life?
A lot of it is based on my own life, and a lot of it's changed. And a lot of people ask how much of it is exactly what happened when I made What the Bleep. uh Very different in terms of the cast of characters, but a lot of the personal journey and the personal story is my own. And I wanted to make it a novel for a couple reasons. One, because I thought that I could have more room to expand and make it more accessible and not just personally about me, to give the character a little more depth. And also, I didn't want to piss a few people off, so I thought I'd make it into a novel, and then nobody's get would get their feelings hurt or would be mad if I forgot to put them in the book or whatever. You know how that goes. So I think, I also wanted to be able to bring different characters. Every single character in this book goes on their own journey of killing their own Buddhas. And I hope there's a character that everybody can relate to.
Because there are quite a few characters in the book, and that's true.
Yeah.
You do go on a number of journeys.
Yeah.
Uh, you do take a hard look at what I call the spiritual guru business in this
Hmm.
book. Does that mean that there's no value in what these people are selling?
I think there's a lot of value in it. I think that we have, I said this in my last book, Tipping Sacred Cows, the spiritual journey used to be a very personal, noble endeavor that we went on privately. It was something that we did for ourselves. And jokingly say, leave it to the West to make it a romance novel about us. And I do think, and I'm partly to blame because what the Bleep kind of reinvigorated the McDonaldization of spirituality, the sort of like one night stands to enlightenment. I think there's some valuable teachings, but I do think just like with a lot of things in the world, we've shortened everything up to a quick meme, a quick bite, a weekend seminar and you got it. And I think that does a disservice to people. And I think it's important for people to really understand that this if you're going to embark on real self-discovery and a real deep connection to spirituality, it's a daily, minute by minute, yearly, for your entire life practice. There's nothing that you're going to solve in a weekend. And so while I have a lot of fun with a lot of the different types of things that people do in the name of enlightenment, I try not to make fun of it. Like, you see movies like Wanderlust or some of these other films, and I can tell when somebody's kind of trying to mock or make fun of the spiritual movement. I can tell if they've actually ever done it or not, because they do it in such a cliche way. Whereas this book is really, I've done everything in this book. I've been to every event that I've talked about in this book in some way or another. And I think it's time we had a little fun and laughed at ourselves a little bit at the funny, ridiculous things. My favorite thing, although I don't even remember if I mentioned this in the book, is like, spiritual people don't like to say God, right? Religious people don't like to say the universe, right? But they're literally talking about the same thing. So I just call it Bob, because for me it's a meaning. Like, well, I could call it God, I could call it universe, I could call it source, I could call it, the Planck scale, or I can call it Bob. Really, it gets down to, what does it mean to you, and how are you using it in your life? And it doesn't really matter whether you're holding a rose quartz or a malachite. At the end of the day, what you believe is what you create in the world.
One of the things you talked about earlier that I want to really drill down on is your central character's dreams. That she had
Mhm.
several major dreams throughout the book that really had an effect on her. What made you decide to make her a dreamer?
Well, first of all, the work that you do, you know how much I love what you're up to. And I've noticed, I mean, Sarah Wells is obviously based off of me, and I tend to have very prophetic, is that how you say it? Prophetic dreams. And even when I'm like just sitting, daydreaming and or dreaming sleep. And so I think, one, it's a great way to introduce concepts and things into a story. But I've noticed that, there's a dream that she has with her father. I had a dream with my father, and he talked to me. And I just thought, so often I have these dreams. And as you have shown me and taught me, pay attention, listen to them. What happens in them? Why do you think that is? As I started to do that in my own life, I started to realize how much I was missing by not paying attention. So I wanted to give the character that same opportunity.
Mm. And she does, and it does have a profound effect on her.
Yeah, it does, definitely. I think that's for me, I don't look at like dream work as like oh, we have to do dream work. Once I really learned from you and understood like how to use dreams, I realized how often, I'll go to bed at night, just like you say, and, program your dream or set an intention, or what do you want to ask a question. And it's like, wow, the things that you get when you really focus in and do that, it is a profound transformation. And so much, it feels like it accelerates things for me. It accelerates with learning or an aha moment, when I go, what is it about this that I need to understand? Okay, boom, it'll show up in my dreams every time.
Mhm. It does. That's what I keep saying every week.
Yep. Yeah.
Follow your dreams, pay attention to your dreams, because they will give you answers that you may not be expecting, but you better
Yeah.
believe them, better pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
exactly. It's true. I just had one the other day that was really surprising to me. And took me a while from waking up to really like that's the other thing I don't do. Like if I don't understand what it meant, I don't try to pound it. I just go, okay, just leave it alone. It'll somewhere in the middle of today or tomorrow, you'll go, ah, now I get it. And so that happened to me just the other day.
And what was the dream about? Now you have to tell me. I don't.
No, gosh. So the dream was really, I mean, what it really meant was I started to have a little bit of anxiety and stress about the book coming out. And, before I went, I took this big trip to South America with my kids and I kind of uh, lost my pathway. What am I going to be doing with my life? And when I came back, I said, okay, I know what I want to do. I wrote Killing Buddha, which, your husband is the one who sitting in my living room one day said, you ought to write Killing Buddha and do a book. It would make a really good book, Betsy. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to write that in a book. Ah. So, but I went and I did it. And I was so glad that I did. But then I came back and the book, I'm like, okay, I've made this recommitment to my own creativity. And then COVID hit, and as you know, it's hard. It's hard to be a creative. It's hard to be a single mom raising two kids by yourself and to do it to fund or to have a livelihood that's funded based on your own creativity without going really and getting work and having a job and all that stuff. And so I really started to like, and as you know, I'm launching See Good TV with Trina, and that's a big endeavor. So I've got these big things like that I'm pushing forward, and I had this like really stressful few days of like, what am I doing? Like, should I be doing this? Am I really on the right pathway? And so that was my question in the dream. It was my intention was, I'd like reassurance around, am I on the right path? Should I keep going or should I just back off and do something else? And so in the dream, I've had this reoccurring dream my whole life of a little girl running through the woods. And it's interesting because that dream, depending on how the girl is running, tells me whether I'm on the right path or not. So I had the dream, and at the beginning of the dream, she was in a panic, in a panic, in a panic. She comes to a place where she can take one road or another, and she takes the other road. And in the dream, I'm slowing down, running. And that was my message of like, no, you were, it's sort of like, when you do tarot cards, past, present, future. It was kind of like that kind of dream. Like the past was run, 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 and the present was slowing. And then in the dream, she just starts walking away. And then what happens at the end of the dream is I just see the little girl walking away from me, like just walking. And so that was my message. That's how I took it. I don't know.
How can people find out where to get the book and to find out more about you?
Go to betsychasse.net. They'll find everything. They'll find the book, they'll find my movies, they'll find See Good TV, they'll find you. It'll be fun.
We've been speaking with writer and filmmaker Betsy Chasse.